Hey there, my friends. Brian King here. I've had a few conversations with clients and colleagues over the past few days, and a theme emerged from those conversations about just to what lengths people with various challenges will go to limit themselves in their own thinking. In essence, stereotyping themselves. I remember way back from the beginning of my experience with the autism, ADHD community, and I would hear comments such as, well, we're not good at that kind of stuff. Or, most of us will never be as good as. And I'm listening to like, wow, why would you give up so easily on this? Why are you declaring that as a population, we need to lower the bar for ourselves? I kept it to myself because I was really new to the scene and I was dealing with people that have been doing this for 10, 15 years, and I figured maybe they knew something I didn't know. Well, the more that I've been in this community now, the more I realize that there are some limits that are held by even the most intelligent of us that are put out there in the forms of articles and books and so forth. And these things are just accepted as true, when the reality is they are based more in fear and pride than they are in truth. And it's very dangerous for us as human beings, as well as a population, talking about the autism, the ADHD community. And as far as our abilities, there are still a lot of stereotypes circulating out there that people that are kind of glitchy, whether it's hyperactive, we're all genius entrepreneurs, we're all very highly creative, we're all awesome at computers, we're all good at hacking computers, we're all awesome at science. Not true. In fact, and I haven't seen any numbers on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if the statistics show that math, science, and other abilities have pretty much the same distribution or the same occurrence in the population of ADHD and Asperger's as it does in the general population. Maybe a little bit more, but maybe around the same. But the general point being is that none of these abilities, being good at science, being good at math or computers, either qualifies or disqualifies you from being a member of a group. I suck at math. I was really good at biology, but don't trust me to remember very much of it because I haven't prioritized that knowledge enough to make it stick. I prioritize things like solving thinking problems, solving relationship issues. Those are things I became passionate about when I found out that my kids were on the spectrum, and I knew I had to become good at this stuff so I could teach them. There's a young man, probably not so young anymore, named Daniel Temmet, lives in England. A few years ago, he went on record as memorizing pi to like 1,000,000 places or some really big number. And he said the way he did it was he utilized his synesthesia. He could assign colors to specific numbers, and he remembered color combinations in order to memorize those many digits. I can't do that. Does that disqualify me? Hell no. Does it mean that the rest of the people on the spectrum are really good at that? No. It means Daniel's good at that. It's far too easy for people to stereotype us because when you describe somebody's abilities and say, oh, so-and-so who's on the autism spectrum or so-and-so who has ADHD is really good at this, and the picture paints those two as obviously going together. And the same happens with the difficulties as well, okay? Say, well, I have ADHD and I have a horrible memory. Okay, those two must go together. But here's where the problem arises. The problem arises when you hear those two things and you assume that they are fixed. Okay? I just had this conversation recently with somebody that I have ADHD, so I have a horrible memory. That's just the way it is because of this condition that I have, and there's nothing that can be done. BS. Okay? It is what it is in terms of you have bad memory right now in this time and place, and it will remain this way likely if you do nothing. My memory is garbage. My working memory is in the 3rd percentile. What is working memory? It's the information in your brain that you are currently working with in order to create a plan and make something happen. In my brain, it's similar to a Pez dispenser. You don't know what those cute little things are? Look them up. But I can only dispense one little bit at a time that comes to the surface for me to work with. And until I use it, there isn't room for any more information to come forward. So I can maybe do one step at a time. Great, I've gotten that done. Get that piece of candy out of the way, let the next one pop up. Great, now I can do that step. But there's also kind of a time delay when it comes to my working memory. Because in addition to the Pez dispenser, there's also an intermittent windshield wiper. So there's a certain amount of time that the piece of candy is there. And if I don't use it before it gets smacked off, I lose it. And that's what a lot of people are afraid of. They want to blurt out answers. They want to interrupt because they're afraid that wiper's coming. And if I don't get this out before it slaps it out of the way, I'm going to lose it. My question to you is, what do you think lists are for? Now, don't give me the, well, I've tried lists and it didn't work. Or I'm not a list type of person. I'm not very good with lists. Stop it. You have not disciplined yourself to use lists. They are incredibly helpful, simple, straightforward, powerful. I use dozens of them. You know why? Because there are things that I tend to forget that are still important. And I can't simply say, well, I got a lousy memory, so you can't hold me responsible for remembering or forgetting. BS again. What you prioritize, you will find a way to record and remember no matter how lousy your memory is. I've got lists for things that I do at home, things I do for business, things that I do for marketing, things that I just want to remember to look at later. I might want to purchase it for my business or personally. If I need to remember it, I make sure it gets remembered. In the digital age, you can hook several different alarms and reminders to pop up on your phone, to beep on your screen, to buzz your watch, or whatever device you have. You have no justification for forgetting anything. The tools are there. The two things that will likely keep you from remembering, pride and fear, not your diagnosis. Okay? You're too prideful to need help. You're too prideful to admit that there's a chink in your armor, or as one of my mentors says, a crack in your bell. Pride is the culprit, not your diagnosis. Or you're afraid. What if I ask for help and someone says no? What if I ask for help and they say, hey, this is common sense, you should know it already? Or I ask for help and they say, what are you, stupid? Screw those people. There are plenty of people out there with the generosity and the humility to help you. Keep asking till you find those folks. But don't hang on to a limiting belief that sets the bar lower than what you are capable of simply because of pride or fear. That's simply ridiculous. It's not just who you are. It's not because the doctor said you have this diagnosis and you read this article online that says, oh, by the way, you're supposed to suck at this stuff, or you're supposed to be awesome at this stuff. None of it's true. There are some similarities, of course. Otherwise, there wouldn't be this category called ADHD or Asperger's or dyslexia, whatever it is. There are commonalities. But those commonalities do not mean that we are all cookie cutters of each other. That because somebody barely got out of high school, that doesn't mean you'll never succeed in college. I had a real rough time through the primary grades, but I've got a master's degree. I did much better in the university setting than I ever did K through 12. So listen when I tell you this. Any decision you've made about yourself, I can't ask a girl out. I can't do my homework. I can't remember to turn things in. I can't remember to tell my wife how much she means to me every day. Any limiting belief that has an all or nothing component about it, don't trust it. Because it's based on either pride or fear. Because I guarantee you, there's a lot more room that you have to grow than you've allowed yourself to consider, because you're hiding behind those two things, pride and fear. So you first need to give yourself permission to grow. Secondly, you need to prioritize your own growth. Look for people who are doing that growing, not for the ones that are just confirming your desire to be stuck. Learn from those people so you can reach your full potential. Because otherwise, what are you doing? Waiting around for your 80th birthday, waiting for your creator to call you home? Really? You're just going to waste your time and wait it out? Or are you going to grow and show this world what you've got? And hopefully make the lives of anybody that meets you a little bit better because you showed up. Hopefully this was helpful. If so, think of that one person that could really benefit from this message and make sure you share it with them. This has been Brian. We'll talk again soon.